Hello, and welcome to episode 37, count it 37 of the Spotlight Games podcast. My name is Patrick. Today we're going to be talking about just a shit ton of announcements. We got Summer Game Fest, Xbox and Bethesda, Capcom. We got a lot to talk about. In fact, there's so much to talk about, we won't be able to talk about all of it. So let's just dive right in. I'm your host, Patrick. I'm joined by my sweet dumpster boy, Cayman Darty. Cayman, how are you on this stinky Tuesday?
Fucking Christ, it is hot as shit outside.
It's so fucking hot.
You know, we were having a conversation earlier, and we were discussing the fact that like all of these people are like, summer is the best season. That's a lie. Okay.
Oh.
We've been ingrained for 12 years as a child, even probably longer than that summer is the time that you're free. You can do whatever you want. When you become an adult, you don't have that freedom. You don't have that time. Let it go, guys. Summer's terrible. It's fucking awful.
Yeah,
who wants to be covered in mosquitoes and sweat?
I am. I couldn't agree with you more. I hate summer so much. And there's nothing I hate more than going outside and not being able to breathe because it's so fucking humid in Atlanta. I hope at some point in my life I don't live inside an oven, which is what it feels like living in Atlanta. We have a lot of shit to talk about. So I'm going to burn through housekeeping. Let's do a quick plug of STC and let's just fucking jump in. We got a lot of video game stuff to talk about. Spotlight Games Podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. Twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. Twitter @Spot Games Pod. Instagram Spotlight Games Pod. TikTok Spotlight Games Pod. Cayman, what you playing?
What am I playing?
No, sorry. STC. Tell us what's up.
STC,
I'm coming with an energy today.
You're coming with it. You're feisty. STC this week just dropped an episode. It is live right now. Whether you're watching us on Twitch or you're listening to this in podcast format, STC this week was Star Crash, and let me tell you guys, fucking wild, absolutely bonkers. The most insane shit we've ever covered, and we've covered some insane shit so far. It's streaming on Tubi, so fucking watch it, guys, and then listen to the episode, then watch it. I don't care. You just got to do something involved with Star Crash because it's insane. And also, Patrick loved it. So
I actually did. Christopher Plummer, Oscar winner. Did he win the Oscar for Star Crash? Only one way to find out, and that's listening. Cayman, thank you for coming along this ride. Let's jump in.
Absolutely.
What you been playing, baby?
So I've obviously been playing the normal things I've been playing for a long time now. We're still just bebopping through. But because this is the Spotlight Games podcast and you want to hear about new things and not the same thing every single week, I've been playing Nobody Saves the World.
Ooh, tell me about
from it. Juicebox Studio. Absolutely fantastic developer. This game is awesome. This game is fucking awesome. It's got elements of roguelike, which is not normally something I enjoy. But the way that they incorporate it works really well. It is a RPG light. The art style is like all cartoons, and it is beautiful. Like, well, not beautiful in the sense that like it's cartoons, and the cartoons are really fun. It's very crisp, looks very good. I love it.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. And you can play it in couch co-op. You can play it online co-op. You can play it on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4. You can play it on the Switch. You can play it on Xbox Game Pass. So you can play it there if you want to play it there.
We love options. We love options. We know we do.
And I think the cool thing, Patrick, I don't know how much you know of this, but the way that the game works is that part of your quest line is that you're trying to achieve mini challenges to level up your characters.
Okay.
And every time you level up your character, it'll unlock another character. And there's like 85 different characters you can play as in the game. And they're everything from like a horse where you can only hit people if your back is turned to them.
God.
Or you could play as like your stereotypical knight who can just do pretty much everything, be very tanky. You can be a bodybuilder who just throws down a dumbbell and has a lot of health. Or my personal favorite and the most useless character in the game, an egg.
Ooh.
And it breaks.
Oh no.
And die.
One hit kill?
One hit. Yeah. Every time. Now I will say there's a really funny character in the game. It's called Zombie. And the thing is with Zombie is it's got like its special power, its passive power is that you can, if you use your special on an enemy. When you kill the enemy, it will also become a zombie and will follow you around and will attack everything until it dies. However, as a zombie, you are constantly dying. So like you have to be in combat because every time you hit someone, you regain health. So if you're not in combat, you will die immediately. And it is like there's like these weird mechanics in it. The story is really cute, really funny, and honestly, like this is an absolute sleeper hit that like I haven't heard like really anyone talk about, which is a fucking shame. This game is really fucking cool. I highly recommend it. You can pick it up right now for like if you're not playing it on Game Pass, you can pick it up for like $20.
Nice.
And like it is arguably $20 well spent.
I need to play it. I have it downloaded on my Xbox, and one time I did open it, and I didn't even start playing it. I was like, I opened it, and I was like, I actually don't want to play a game right now, because I love Drinkbox. Guacamelee 2, two of my favorite games. So I need to jump into this one. I'm thrilled to hear your report. You might remember last week, I was like, I don't think I'm going to buy Mario Strikers Battle League. Well, I did.
Sure. Okay.
And I'm having fun with it, but here's my thing. I think I've come to the realization that Mario sports games in the modern era are kind of cash grabs. And what I mean by that is it is so content light. Like Mario Kart, for example, there's like cups in this game where you'll play like 3 or 4 matches to win a cup. And it starts you out with 6 of them. And in those 6 cups, so that's what, 6 times 3 or 6 times 4, 24 matches. I lost my first match and I never lost again. And I never won by less than like 5 goals. And like, I don't think I'm particularly good at the game. I think it's that easy. Once you beat the first 6 cups, it unlocks like a challenge mode or like a harder difficulty essentially. And I will say I've played 1 or 2 cups and I've actually lost a couple games now. So like I wish that it had just unlocked this mode from the beginning. Because each cup, the opposing teams supposedly have like in like the shooting cup, all of them have like high shooting stats, or in the speed cup, all of them are like your opponents are really fast. But I never noticed a difference. I felt like everyone was the exact same skill level. But now in the hard mode cup, I forget what it's called. I'm actually being challenged. So like I'm starting to enjoy it a little more now. I've still not played any online mode. Friend of the show, Nick, he messaged me last night. He apparently got his butt kicked in an online game. So then I'm like, maybe I need to be playing more online. I'm not typically one to go toward online. So yeah, I'm just really hoping, because there's not many characters. There's not many maps. Like, I don't know. There's just, it feels really content light. And this is kind of how I felt about Mario Golf too. Mm-hmm. And I never played Mario Tennis, but I remember that being the word on the street, is that like there's just not much here. So yeah, I'm a little down on it. I accrued enough points that I only paid like half price for it, which was nice. But yeah, I don't know. I will report back, but right now I'm a little disappointed in it.
Sorry.
And then I've also been playing The Quarry. I had pre-ordered that, and I've not played a ton, so I don't have a ton to report. I think I'll have a lot more to say next week, other than to say it looked like the graphics are great, and it feels like Until Dawn in the best way. So I will report back on The Quarry, but yeah, that's been my world. Are you going to pick up Mario Strikers? Do you think?
In the future, yeah, I think so. It just, there's just like, these are games that I'll play with Sid, right?
Yeah.
And we're playing through Tiny Tina still, and she wants to play Nobody Saves the World with me. I've been playing it with with my brother-in-law, and so we've been playing together. But she wants to play, so it's doing things like that. It's like, yeah, okay. Is Mario Strikers a game that's going to be coming up for me? maybe in the next couple months, but as of right now, I don't think so. I just like when we have these conversations about the Mario sports games, I can distinctly look back on Mario. What was it? It was the Mario Kart 3DS or Mario
Mm-hmm.
Kart DS. I don't think there. I think there was a specific name. I don't think I'm saying the name right, but I remember it was like you would just continue to unlock characters when you were doing things in the game. And one of them being like for you to get the last character, which I think it was the robot, the I forgot his name, Robo, which was based off the Nintendo robot that you could get for the old NES.
Oh,
And
cool.
to get it though, you had to like basically beat every single cup in 150cc without losing a race.
Oh,
Like
wow.
that's how
Okay.
you unlock the last one. We don't see that anymore.
Not really.
That just doesn't exist. And I don't know if it is because it is a cash grab thing where it's like we want to put as little time, energy, and effort into making a product and make money off of it, and because people are going to buy it, or like what it is. But
Yeah.
Nintendo recently has, with their main titles outside of like Mario, like Super Mario Odyssey or like Breath of the Wild, like their main titles that are like especially the sports titles are just they're just lacking.
Yeah.
And
I
for a
agree.
$60 price, it's like I just don't see the urge, the want to get a game that in 3 hours I'm have unlocked everything that's possible to unlock.
Yeah.
And what are you keeping me locked into when I'm playing that?
And like the crazy thing with this game is there's really nothing to unlock. Like the what you can unlock is gear. So like whenever you win a cup, you get like 500 coins, and you can buy like for Rosalina, if I want to buy like a headpiece that like increases her strength but makes her shooting a little worse. Like you can buy gear, and that's really the only thing you unlock in this game other than like hard mode. And like there's no characters to unlock. There's no like fields to unlock. There's really nothing to earn other than doing these cups. And like I don't know, I remember when this was announced, we were both really excited, and but it's one of those things where like I think back in the last time we had a Strikers game was when it was on GameCube, when we
Yeah,
all lived at home and like we would have friends over and like play games on our couch, and like
yeah,
so that game had a lot of legs. But now fucking no one sees each other anymore. And so like I and like there is online mode, but it's just not the same. It's not as fun playing online as it is to have someone next to you. And that's
yeah,
not to say the gameplay is not fun. Like I said last week, it
yeah.
feels like a brawler mixed with a soccer game. And like that's a cool concept. There just aren't legs for me so far.
Sure. I mean, yeah, that's it. I don't like the way that we're going.
Yeah.
I don't like it. So why don't we talk about something less depressing? And when I say less depressing, something that's just slightly less depressing.
So I want to start with a question to you, Cayman.
Oh God.
Since last week, we had Jeff Keighley's showcase, Summer Game Fest, about an
Yep.
hour of announcements. We had Xbox and Bethesda showcase, about an hour and a half of announcements. And then we had Capcom showcase yesterday, which was like 30 minutes. I don't know if you caught any of that news. Um, Overall, how are you feeling now that we have gone through, other than a story that we're going to cover at the end of the show today, the vast majority of what this summer's announcements have to give us? How are you
You
feeling about
know,
the future, the near future of video games?
I'm just I don't know, man. I'm not excited.
Yeah,
Nothing has excited me. And I don't know if that's that I'm getting older and I'm become more jaded,
sure.
or if the fact that's just like we're still seeing the ramifications of COVID, or if developers are taking a different like approach to how they announce their games now. I mean, it very well could be that because so many people have bitched and complained that like, oh, you announced this game, but it's not going to come out till 7 years. Like maybe that's
Yeah,
where we are. But like coming out of Summer Game Fest, there just wasn't a lot there that got me excited about really anything. Maybe probably the only thing that got me excited was like the very brief concept artwork we got for the Last of Us multiplayer game.
Yeah.
And the little bit of details we got on that. I mean, look, The Last of Us Part 1 is getting a full remake, which is fucking fantastic. But yeah, I don't know. It was just a lot of stuff that we've already seen.
Yeah.
Or stuff we already knew was coming, or just gameplay of stuff that, I mean, looks cool, but like, I don't know, man. At Summer Game Fest, there was just, I was hoping there'd be just one big thing.
Right.
And we didn't get that at all.
It didn't feel like it. Like, honestly, State of Play felt like there was the biggest news, I think, in both of our opinions. The internet at large, I think, is a lot higher on the last week, but yeah, I think we're both a little down on what was announced. So yeah, so what I want to do here, I want to go showcase by showcase essentially, and we're not going to itemize it because Summer Game Fest and Xbox Bethesda separately, like each of them had like 35 announcements. So I've pulled out kind of the big ones that I think are worth talking about. But as you see on the doc, Cayman, if there's anything that I have not highlighted that you do want to talk about, feel free to bring it up. So starting with Summer Game Fest, we got actual like a gameplay demo of Callisto Protocol. This is one we can kind of breeze through a little bit. I just wanted to say that this is probably my most anticipated game right now. It looks so good. And like, if we hadn't seen any Callisto Protocol before Summer Game Fest, I think my tune would be a little different about how this last week was, but we got this at the State of Play. So like, this was something that we were just getting more information on. But yeah, what did you think of the additional gameplay we've seen now of Callisto Protocol?
Callisto Protocol looks like it has the potential to be the next big franchise in horror games.
Yeah, I agree.
And I like the trailer we saw on its State of Play, incredible. Like, super, it set the atmosphere, just showed me what I needed. The gameplay just kind of elaborated on that.
Yeah.
And it really just kind of drove the nail in the coffin as to being like, this game is going to scare the ever living fuck out of you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm terrified of horror video games as a big horror guy myself. I don't know why. I'm terrified like a little baby.
Yeah, sure.
But
Goo goo gaga.
Goo goo gaga, indeed. Yeah, this looks fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, trailer.
This is very exciting.
Yeah, the trailer ended with your character basically just being like scooped into this like bone crusher, and I was like, oh boy, this game is going to be so beyond gory.
Oh my god,
yeah, which I know you're thrilled about.
Well, I mean, I just want to take a second there.
Yeah,
like, over the years, outside of things like Mortal Kombat, which that's kind of the shtick of Mortal Kombat, games have become less and less gory, violent, and gross like this. They just have. And this reminds me a lot of like the heyday of like the PS3 era, where it was like everything is super gory, everything is super violent. We don't really get games like this anymore.
Like,
and so
Prototype.
If that alone is that, like, that's alone excites me. That's like, hey, some people still want to make games like we used to get.
Sure.
And like, there's like a little nostalgia for me.
Yeah, for sure. There was a theme, you know, since we're not going like item by item, aren't going to talk about a ton of them, but there was a like spooky space theme of Summer Game Fest. Yeah, there were like 4 or 5 different games shown. The next one I wanted to talk about was Fort Solace, which they didn't show a ton of, but it's a game starring Roger Clark, who was Arthur Morgan in Red Dead Redemption 2, and Troy Baker, who is Joel from The Last of Us, among other things. And it's like a third person spooky space situation. It kind of looked like Callisto Protocol, if just not like a gory action game. This is more of like a thriller essentially. Mm-hmm. But it was the reason that I was so excited about this is the way it was described on the stream was Dead Space meets a Duncan Jones movie. And that is like, you got me there.
Yeah.
Even
So
though we didn't see much like action, I'm assuming they just mean like the spookiness of Dead Space. So yeah, that I'm excited about that one. Later down in the show, we got a little bit of a look at Marvel Midnight Suns, which I was surprised that we got no gameplay, and this game is coming out in like 3 or 4 months.
a few weeks ago, we got some gameplay.
A
It was like
teensy bit.
a teensy bit. It was like 15 minutes long, like one scenario. The developers kind of walked through like different aspects of the game, then showed like the hub world that you can go through. I'm not shocked that we didn't see gameplay here. I don't think it really made sense to show gameplay here, to be completely honest with you. I
Sure.
think a big gameplay showcase, like even if it is like just they release it on their YouTube channel and are like, hey, here's 20 minutes of like in-game footage. But then again, also a game like this, I don't know if gameplay is going to, it might help sell it to some people, but I don't know if gameplay is going to be as so action packed that it's going to like drive people. Like it's not going to
Yeah,
be
that's
super
true because it's like
enticing
a
unless you're hands on.
yeah because it's like a
It's a
strategy
tactical,
game.
yeah, it's like
Right.
a tactical strategy RPG. I just
Good
don't
point. Good
see,
point.
yeah, I don't see that being like very entertaining for someone to just watch. There are people who like me, I would watch it because I'm a nerd and I kind of like watching that shit, but like I don't think gameplay it would, I think it would just bog down an already kind of slow
You're right.
presentation.
After that, we got this is exciting. TMNT Shredder's Revenge. We got a release date. It's
Yeah.
coming as of recording in 2 days, as of release today. So if that's a game you're excited about, you can pick it up right now. This next piece actually leaked a few hours before the show, but the long which, well, so actually, not that one. So we'll get to that. The Samsung Game Hub TV was leaked. So essentially, the long rumored Xbox app on smart TVs is officially a thing. So as of right now, they're not getting like a Roku or anything like that. Right now, it's just on 2022 and newer models of Samsung smart TVs. There will be a native Xbox among a few other. There's like a Stadia app and a couple other apps, but they were really pushing the Xbox app. So you can play Game Pass by streaming it directly on your TV, which I think this is like step one of like the future of this long rumored streaming centric gaming atmosphere. But
Yeah.
does this do anything for you, Cayman? This Game Hub TV?
This feels like I understand why they're doing it. It feels immature. Reason being, one, 2022 or going on onwards. So nothing before 2022.
Yeah.
Specifically, the Samsung Game Hub TV. And as of right now, for you to be able to really get the full effect of it, you're going to probably have to have Google Fiber. And so
Probably.
it's one of those things where it's like, this is really cool. Let me rephrase. This will be really cool
Sure.
in 10 years
Sure.
because the infrastructure in the United States sucks ass. And not everyone is going to have the ability to have internet strong enough to be able to actually make good use of this. Also, these TVs cost a fuck ton of money.
Sure.
So they are going to be very limited to who is going to be able to actually utilize this. And the people who could utilize this probably already have an Xbox.
I will say, from the little bit that I fucked around with Xbox Cloud streaming, the latency is like it's pretty good. Like even with like sometimes if the internet's not going that great, it'll still perform pretty well. So I wouldn't be surprised if this does perform well on like as long as you have good internet. Like I don't know that you'll necessarily need fiber, but that's still like
but that's
good
also
internet is still
yeah.
not everywhere in the States yet.
But you're also going to have a very specific TV that also costs a lot of money.
Sure.
And
they
the
did
other
say
thing,
go ahead.
No, please.
I was gonna say they did say like the Game Hub TV is a specific model, but they did say just any new Samsung TV will have it. It's not just this specific TV, but new models of TVs are always the most expensive on the market because they're new.
Yes,
so.
and they're also gonna. But I mean, even just a regular Samsung TV, if you're getting above like 65 inches or bigger, you're looking at over $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 TV. Like that's just is what it
I mean, if
is.
you're going like QLED, I got
Well, yeah, but I mean,
like a 50
I
inch for like
guess
500 a few years ago. That was Samsung.
so.
Um,
But I guess
but
here's my
yeah,
yeah.
I,
But that I
yeah,
mean, yeah. But then there's the other issue too, is that a TV is very similar to a mattress. Like you're
sure.
not just going out and buying a TV every couple of years.
Great
So
point.
like this, and so I don't know. I still think this is something that's going to be really cool 5 to 10 years from
Yeah.
now. But hey, 5 to 10 years from now, we all could be dead.
Hey,
So
very possible. After this, this is a game that I wanted to do a little more research on, but I ran out of time. I forgot. But this game called Metal Hellsinger, which is essentially, it's coming out soon. It's coming out in September. And it's a first-person music rhythm shooter from hell, is how they describe it. So it's basically Doom if Doom was a rhythm-based shooting game, which is a cool concept. Like, and I have heard some like hands-on around the industry, and people seem to fuck with it. But right now, you can do a demo on Steam, but it looks cool.
It's so I G-Man Lives is a YouTuber who like focuses on like first person shooters. And he did like a small video, kind of like, hey, I played the demo. And it got like early access and yada yada. And there were a couple things where he's like, I wish that this was a little bit different, but ultimately the game fucks.
Hell yeah.
And I did a little research just now. It is coming to consoles outside of Switch.
Hell yeah.
So
Dope.
this was like a day one buy for me because this has been on my radar for a hot minute, and I am now knowing it's on consoles because I didn't think it was actually going to come to consoles. This is a very PC game. I'm going to throw down with this. It looks so goddamn cool.
Yeah, I will say this actually brings up something that I meant to mention when we were just giving our kind of initial thoughts of the conferences. This one got a date. There were shockingly very few dates given over the 3 press conferences that we saw. And leading into the summer, I feel like we had been having a lot of conversations like, what's the rest of this year going to be? Like, if God of War doesn't hit, we already know the Breath of the Wild's not here. Like, but there's already been big names, things like Starfield, Redfall that have been pushed. Like, what are we supposed to like have the rest of the year essentially? And these 3 conferences didn't really give us that either. So there's still some really big question marks about like what is coming this fall. But this is one of them. This is one of the few things that got an actual date. And if it does get pushed out, I doubt it gets pushed out past this fall. So that's exciting. So then after this, we jumping ahead to the end of the show, this was another thing that was leaked the morning of hysterically by Sony themselves on the Sony website.
What a move, man.
They leaked The Last of Us Part 1. Essentially what this is if you might remember The Last of Us Part 2 was the sequel on PS4 and then upres to PS5, but the original was just called The Last of Us or The Last of Us Remastered. So now essentially they are from the ground up, they've rebuilt The Last of Us. They're calling it The Last of Us Part 1. It's only going to be on PS5 and PC, and it is essentially The Last of Us 1 in The Last of Us 2's engine. That was part 1 of the pun intended, part 1 of the announcement. They also announced, as Cayman kind of briefly alluded to earlier, they also announced that next year we will be getting more information about their multiplayer game. And what the announcement is that this is much more than a mode. We had all kind of, the rumors were that maybe it's going to be its own game or it's going to be attached to The Last of Us Part 1. But they basically told us like this game has evolved so much during development that it has its own story to tell, and this is going to be huge. And it looks like it's set, I think it looked like it was set in either New York City or San Francisco. There was a bridge. I don't remember which bridge it was, but it looked like a very notable bridge. But so I'm wondering if this is going to be like a Division type game with the way they kind of talked about it.
Don't tease me. Don't tease me.
I mean, I hope so, because like it's the old factions mode in the OG Last of Us was just multiplayer, like competitive deathmatch. Essentially, there were some other like little modes like that, but this sounds like it's not going to just be PvP, like deathmatch style multiplayer. This sounds like it's going to be a huge experience. And so yeah, I'm really interested to learn more. They showed us one picture of some concept art, and yeah, that also I'm more excited for that than I thought I would have been with it being a multiplayer only game, but also we know how much I love The Last of Us. And then they also gave us some Last of Us show updates. They said it sounds like we'll be getting a trailer soon. They didn't say that we're getting a trailer soon, but Neil toward the end of it was like, you're going to be hearing more soon, essentially. But it sounds like it's definitely coming next year. And they also said that Troy and Ashley have parts in the show that sound somewhat sizable. So that's cool. But yeah, overall, what are your thoughts on all of that Last of Us news that was both leaked and announced at Summer Game Fest?
Yeah, first, I think Sony is just, man, what a comedy of errors that was.
Yeah,
Absolutely fucking hilarious. And I'm not going to say that it would have like saved Summer Game Fest.
sure.
I think it would have helped it a little bit. I don't think it would have saved it. I don't think anything would have saved Summer Game Fest. This definitely was a blow.
Yeah.
The additional information about the Last of Us multiplayer game, if it is like you think, a Divisions type game, I don't know what I would do to myself. As I've said time and time again, the Division is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
God damn, the idea of like sneaking around buildings, taking out encampments, or having like clickers with like a group of people. Oh my God, this sounds so fucking good to me. Super excited about it. I think that is going to be super hype. I'm just hoping it launches in 2023. Like,
Yeah.
they're still very cagey on like when we'll see info next, and they're still very cagey on like what it's going to be. But it does give me hope that like maybe that if it grew out of it, like this could be a massive, massive experience. And like this is just the next games Naughty Dog has for us. And if that's the case, I'm 100% on board. The TV show, just want to see it.
Yeah.
Like honestly, you telling me that Troy and Ashley will be in the show with sizable roles kind of upsets me a little bit, because like that would have been a really cool surprise.
Oh,
like that would have been
actually,
like just
good point.
really cool to see. Like, oh my god, like that moment where it's just like, holy fuck. Like
you're
that's
right.
So like you ruined that surprise for me. I don't like that. And then obviously the more information about The Last of Us Part 1. The one question I have is like, or one thing I hope that they do is that they incorporate the DLC, the Left Behind DLC, into the actual story.
They won't.
I don't think they will either. I think that would, if they won't do that, it's a missed opportunity to do something really cool. Like have flashbacks, like a dream sequence where you actually get to play like an elongated period. She like wakes up and she has like a conversation, like additional dialogue, additional something. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I really think that they're probably have not recorded any new lines or really anything else. They're just rebuilding and using, which sucks. Because at that point, it's like, you look at something like Demon Souls, and you're like, yeah, it's still the same game, but it's way more than just the same game. Like you're getting like the way that they did that game. Like if you put them side by side, like in essence, the same thing, but also very, very different.
For sure.
Same thing with like Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3 is still the same game, but also still very different. And like I kind of hope that, and maybe we'll find out when it comes out. Maybe they do. Maybe they do add something new in there that's more enticing, because the game's also launching at $70.
Yeah. I mean, I think definitely the audience here is new players. I think especially with the show, like I think the whole purpose of this is so that when the show comes out, they have the best possible customers have the best possible game to play. Me being a super fan, like I'm still excited. I do wish that because I watched a video today on Digital Foundry. If you're not familiar with Digital Foundry, they are very like tech focused. They look at trailers, they look at gameplay and dissect it from like what was the fidelity of it, like how many like 2160p, that kind of stuff. And they did, I mean, granted, they only had 90 seconds to pull from because we've only seen 90 seconds of the trailer they gave us. And they were like, a lot of what they showed in this trailer was just cutscenes from the game. So like what we're reporting, it all has an asterisk right now.
Yeah.
But one of the main things that they noticed was in the few parts where it was gameplay, especially scripted gameplay, things like QuickTime events, they were like the camera cuts at the exact same time. Like all of it looks truly like a one-to-one recreation, that it just looks like they have rebuilt it from the ground up, but they've essentially sketched like what do you call that when you like you put a piece of paper over drawing and you know what I'm talking about?
Stencil? No, it's not stencil. I know what you're
What is that
talking
called?
about.
You know what I'm talking about? That. Like
Yeah, I know what
it's
you're
kind
talking
of like
about.
that essentially. And like that. I would be lying if I said I wasn't like a little bit disappointed, but honestly, I'm just still just so excited to have, because like the side by side, I've some people on the internet are like, doesn't look that good. To me, I think it looks great. Like I think
You know,
the graphical fidelity jump I think is noticeable enough for me that
yeah,
I am excited to play this again. But
yeah.
yeah, what's up?
No, yeah, I actually like saw a photo where they pulled both scenes exactly at the same moment. And like the graphical fidelity and just the character design, while the exact same, is also drastically improved.
Yeah.
Like, and they were even using the PS4 remastered version when they
Mm-hmm.
did that. And it's like, holy hell, like it is, yes, it is way better looking than
Yeah.
I could have imagined. But just seeing the trailer without seeing the other next to it, I was like, doesn't look any different. Looks the exact
Yeah.
same. Then
Right.
when actually seeing the two together, I'm like, holy hell, like that's actually a really huge leap
Yeah.
in quality. So I'm just kind of hoping from it that we, if they can incorporate some new ideas somehow into it, that'd be great. But more so for me, just mechanically, make it more like The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
The Last of Us 2 mechanically is just much better of a game. And
Yeah.
I think if they can learn from that and take that instead of just
Mm-hmm.
pulling in, then I think we're good.
And they did say on the stream that it's essentially, it's not just The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2's engine. Like they did rebuild it from the ground up, but they said what we learned from The Last of Us 2 and after The Last of Us Part 2, like we're incorporating in this game. So I think that was their way of saying it's going to have the same, like the combat will see the most overhaul. I don't think it's
Good.
going to feel like The Last of Us The Last of Us 1 as part 1, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, I mean, I feel like, as we go through, these are all the things like we're excited about. And we started by saying we were a little disappointed with the show, but it's because I skipped over the
Yeah,
majority of the show.
there's a lot of
And
shit
like
that was useless.
I will say, I don't think Summer Game Fest was bad by any means. I think I got a little, I was expecting this to be more like a proper E3 than just like, hey, here's some cool new stuff. And so that's kind of on me in a way. But let's go to showcase number 2. This is Xbox and Bethesda. So this was one we live streamed our reaction to. We didn't post it because of technical reasons. But if you were in the chat, you got to see our reactions in real time.
Yeah, you got to see
situations.
Pop goes the weasel.
Yeah, like both of us leaving the stream to go make ourselves a drink. Overall, we were definitely
not happy.
We were definitely a lot more down on the Xbox and Bethesda showcase than Summer Game Fest. Although I will say, and I want to hear your thoughts, but I will say I watched it again yesterday and I skipped through the things that I didn't care about. Things like Forza, things like Flight Simulator, just games that didn't speak to me. And there was a piece that I think was really, there's important context about this showcase that they only showed games that are coming in the next 12 months. And so I think that I missed that at the beginning of the showcase on Sunday. So I think that knowing that kind of changes how I feel about it as a whole. So I'm more up on it than I was on Sunday. And everything that they showed is on Game Pass except Diablo 4 and Elder Scrolls Online. So of the like 33 games they showed, 31 of them I'll be able to get just by having Game Pass, which is great. But I was expecting more, and not more quality, or not more quantity. I was expecting more quality. I was expecting more games to speak to me. But like, you announced 33 things or show us 33 things. There's no way that all 33 of them, it's impossible that I would be excited about all of them, but I was expected to be excited about more of them. But tell me your thoughts, Cayman, overall, and then we can go through the ones that I pulled. How are you feeling about the Xbox and Bethesda showcase today?
I actually feel the complete opposite. I feel worse on it now than I did when I saw it live.
Interesting.
Let me tell you why. Only showed games coming in the next 12 months. How many of those games did I actually want to play?
You tell me.
2. You showed me 30. You showed me 31 games.
But sure, I will say you don't have an Xbox. Well, I guess no, technically you do. Yeah, you have the Xbox
I
One.
could
You still
play all
use
of
it.
these games.
Yeah,
I
you're
just
right.
don't
You're
use it
right. Never mind.
because of this exact reason.
Strike it from the record.
Strike it from the record. Look, if you show me 31 games, you're like, God, Cayman, these are the games that you get to look forward to playing in the next 12 months. And then you give me a whole list and only 2 of the games, I'm like, yeah, I want to play those. I'm like, wow, this is it?
Yeah.
This makes me feel even worse because I'm like, this is the paltry offering you're giving me?
What were the 2 games that jumped out to you?
Diablo 4,
Okay.
Starfield.
Sure.
And Starfield, huge asterisks, which we'll get to.
Yeah. So let's
Those
jump
are the
into
only 2
it.
games.
I really pared this list down.
God, yes, please,
so,
thank you.
I might pull in some that aren't on the dock, but I think this is so yeah, like I said, next 12 months, everything on Game Pass except 2 games. They opened with gameplay of Redfall. When we were
Not
watching
feeling it.
this, both of us weren't feeling it. I will say that watching it a second time, this game of all the games, I actually had the biggest flip on. I don't know what it was about the second time I watched it, but well, I will tell you a little bit. When we were watching it the first time, we were both kind of talking about how we weren't feeling it. And when we were talking about we weren't feeling it, there were some things that they talk about in the second half of the trailer that I think we talked over. And so just things about like the gameplay and narrative and that kind of thing. So I'm definitely a lot higher on Redfall than I am on than I was. And part of that is it can be played entirely as a single player experience or as a multiplayer experience. Essentially the rest of your party, I guess, would just be AI if you're playing it single player. And that's the kind of stuff, especially from a studio like Arcane, who I really love Arcane, knowing that they have designed it from the ground up both ways makes me excited, because as someone who doesn't normally play online, especially on Xbox, because I don't really have friends on Xbox at all, that's something that excites me, that I know that I'll be able to play that game in its entirety on my own. And they tell me it won't affect my experience. Shortly after that, we saw the first bit of gameplay, I think, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, on A Plague Tale Requiem. I don't think we had seen gameplay for A Plague Tale previously.
We'd seen snippets, but those snippets could have been cinematics.
Okay.
I don't. Here's my thing with this one particular situation. Yes, I am excited about this game, but I'm also going to be able to play it on PlayStation 5, so it does not drive me to Xbox.
Sure.
Or drive me to Game Pass.
Sure.
Like, it doesn't drive me to be like, I need to plug in my Xbox again, or plug in the Xbox again.
Sure.
And I need to sign up and subscribe to Game Pass to play this game. This does not drive me to that.
Sure.
As much as like me being like, yeah, I can't wait. I mean, when it comes out, yeah, I'm gonna play it. But like,
yeah,
it's also a game that like I definitely could be like, oh, it came out. I'll wait a couple months and I'll pick it up on sale.
Yeah, this is one of those.
And that's it.
Yeah, for sure. This is one of those games I never finished the first one because it just felt like the whole game was kind of like a stealthy escort mission, and this one doesn't look like that. This one, like, there's combat, there's some magic shit going on. So like this, this one I am definitely more interested in. I don't know that it'll be, but that's the thing. Like, this is because I play a lot more on Xbox than you. This is one of those ones where I'm a little more excited about this one because I know I won't be paying for this game. Like, I'm just going to get it in Game Pass. So like that is also like a big asterisk with my reaction, is that a lot of these games, if I'm only kind of excited about them, I know that, like, if it was only on PlayStation, I wouldn't be buying this game, but it's on Game Pass, so I can try it out. We also saw High on Life, which looked fun. This is a Squanch Games game.
Oh yeah.
So
okay, I will.
Justin Roiland. It's a first-person shooter, and this is actually, so today, as of recording, they had the Xbox Extended showcase, which is essentially they didn't announce anything new. It was essentially this is like the showcase again, but they cut a lot out and they did a lot more interviews. So they interviewed Justin Roiland today, and hearing him talk about it, and like, apparently the guns in the game like drastically change the game since the guns are characters. And so like that kind of little thing, that's another one where I'm more excited now than I was on Sunday. But yeah, how are you feeling on High on Life? Are you feeling high on life, Cayman?
Yeah, like, I think it looks really interesting. Honestly, I think it was the most attractive game the entire showcase.
Okay.
It just looked the best.
Sure.
And I know it sounds kind of crazy when you're like, oh, but what about Starfield? Like, Yeah, Starfield, we'll get to that. This game looks cool. This game looks interesting. This game
Yeah,
looks like a ton of fun.
for sure.
But it's also not a console exclusive. It's just a launch exclusive.
Right.
And so if this is one that I sit on, then I sit. And I guess here's my thing. Like, this showcase was supposed to be designed for me, not for you, not for people who already have like the Series X, not those people. This showcase was designed for me, someone who has not upgraded, who's not gotten the brand new console. It's supposed to entice me to go out.
I don't know
and
that that's
buy.
entirely true.
I mean, okay, it's supposed to excite their fan base too,
Yeah.
and you want to hype, but ultimately they're trying to get people to
For sure.
jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Here are offerings with Game Pass, and you should come join. And like this, as much as like this looked cool, if I just have to wait 6 months or 12 months to play it, like
Sure.
I'll be more than fine with that.
Yeah.
So it's not like enticing me to get like the newest, best version of the Xbox console so I can play it in 4K on my beautiful TV with my beautiful backlights and be immersed. Like, I'm just like, okay, cool. Starfield should be that game that drives me.
Yeah.
To be like, but once again, we'll get there. I'm going to
Stop talking about Starfield.
I'm going to take over, Patrick. The next game, Hollow Knight Silksong, was shown to be coming day one of Game Pass, but still no date. However, at the very least, we know it's coming in the next 12 months. Patrick, as someone who never played Hollow Knight, has no care to play Hollow Knight, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm glad we saw it, but I honestly would have rather not seen it, knowing that we didn't get a date. Because this is a game, like, we've seen it multiple times now. This is one of those things when we saw it, because this is the second thing they showed. I was like, here we go. We're getting a date. Maybe it's coming out in a month. Maybe it's coming out in 2 months. And the fact that they didn't even give us a window. So like all we know is because the rules of their press conference was next 12 months. That's all we know. And I'm just kind of shocked by that.
How many games do you think will be delayed out of 12 months?
A third of them at the very least. I think at the very least, because of these, like very few of them were actually said to be 2022 games. Maybe not very few of them. I would say no more than half are said to be coming this year. So like, yeah, I doubt all of those make it this year. But yeah, that was one. I was a little shocked that we didn't get a date. But it's a small team, COVID, like all those things. I get it. Yeah. And like the true piece of news here was day one Game Pass, because that's not a Hollow Knight Silksong. They're not I don't remember the developers' names. They're not owned by Microsoft. So this was like a get for Microsoft essentially. So that was the news. That's why they showed it. But I was shocked they didn't even give it a year. Like they didn't even say this year or next. They just, it's coming. So we'll see. Another big one that I didn't put on this list, that we can brush over, but basically all the big Riot games are coming to Xbox PC Game Pass, which that does not mean a thing to me, but I know that's a big deal for PC people. Like sure. League and all of the champions, like that's a lot of money essentially that you now get for free on Game Pass. So that was a big one. That was the thing. I think that was like the ultimate thing about this press conference that I think left a sour taste in both of our mouths. The big things just didn't speak to us. Like that was supposedly a big thing. Forza Motorsport was supposedly a big thing. There was one other one. Scorn, like showing Scorn, I think was maybe a big thing. So there's like some of the big things just weren't. I just didn't care about.
Thing is with Scorn, we've seen Scorn gameplay. We didn't see anything new. They didn't give us a release date. They didn't give us anything there. So like, why? Like, okay, cool. You just showed me the same shit again.
Yeah. The one big thing, which I'm breaking my own rule. The one big thing that they showed that I did fuck with was Starfield, but we'll get to it.
Fuck you.
Diablo 4. We saw that. That's a game. This was another big one.
I'm going to take over again.
Take over Diablo.
Everyone knows that I love Diablo. No one gives a shit that I'm going to talk about Diablo, so I'm not, because everyone knows I'm already super hyped for this. You are the one that I want the opinion from, because you are someone who never really fucked with Diablo like I did. What did you think about Diablo?
I thank you for taking control and asking me my opinion, Cayman.
I'm gonna take control of the next one too.
Great. This is one. So of the 33 game announcements, I walked away from this saying that 12 of them are ones that I am either vaguely interested in or super hyped about. 3-4 of them I'm really vaguely interested in. 3-4 of them I'm like, you know what? That's a game I am actively looking forward to, but I'm not walking away having my skirt been blown up. And then like 3 of them I'm actively like really excited about. Diablo is one of those ones right in the middle. Like I don't feel like I'm walking away with it being a highly anticipated game, but it looked so if at the beginning of the press conference, like if you had asked me how excited I was for Diablo, I would have said I'm not. Like I don't care. Now I'm at least interested in it. I want to see more. I need to see more before I would, because this was one of the only 2 games that aren't Game Pass. So this is one that I will have to pay my own money for. And as of right now, I won't be paying my own money day one. Maybe I would pay my own money down the line. But I will say,
I paid my own money.
If you bought it, I mean, sure.
We both take the day off it releases, and we just sit down together, you and I.
I mean, if you're paying for
it, play it.
I will say, like graphically, I thought the fidelity, like it looks like a pretty big jump compared to 3.
Ridiculously big.
Huge jump. And so that gets me excited. Like that's one of those things where like I noticed, even I played Diablo 3 on the Switch, which like the worst place to play Diablo 3.
Yeah.
Graphically at least. And I noticed from the outset, like, oh wow, this is a big improvement. Like these graphics are a big improvement. But Diablo is just one of those games where the story is not the most important thing. And so it's gotta win me over essentially. Totally fair. That's where I am, where I'm at on Diablo.
Taking over again for the next one, Cocoon from the creators of Limbo and Inside at a new study coming next year.
Sorry,
that
studio.
was one. Okay, I'm reading Patrick's.
You
words,
I
directly from his own hand.
I had a typo, Cayman.
Yeah, that was one of my highlights of the show. This is also Patrick's words, not mine.
You're doing a great job taking over.
Thanks. I appreciate your words of affirmation. Like for me, Limbo and Inside, cool. Like I get that people love them. Sydney loves them. I don't know. I never latched onto it. So this to me didn't do a lot, but I know this did a lot for you. So why don't you fill the audience and tell us what you think?
Inside, I adore Inside. I think it's like a pretty close to perfect video game. Spooky, atmospheric, like it tells a story without saying a single word. I love that shit. This is, I don't think it'll be as good as Inside just from the little bit that I've seen, but that's, I think, an unfair take to have with only having seen 90 seconds of it. Sure. But like graphically, it looks really cool. And like I've adored every game that these people have made. So like I have no reason not to trust them again. But this is one of those ones where of course, like I should have assumed eventually they would make a new game. I hadn't actively thought about it. So this was one of the reasons this was one of my highlights of the show, is that I was surprised by it. Like I had no idea this was coming, and I walked away. I've been thinking about this one a lot since then. So that's definitely one that I'm excited for.
Yeah. Fuck it. I'll keep going.
Keep going, baby.
Persona 3, 4, and 5 Royal Edition coming to Xbox. And for me, this is a huge get.
Huge.
For Xbox. This also begs this is a huge question. What is Sony doing? I
have an answer.
You do? Okay, tell me, because I am very interested to know.
They did release a press release. I don't remember if it was same day or if it was yesterday, that these will also be coming to PlayStation and PC.
Oh shit.
They didn't say if it'll be day one on both, but so my question is, if it's coming to Xbox, does that mean it's also coming to Switch? Will we see this on Switch? Because that's the thing. Like, what makes me most excited about these coming to Xbox is that Xbox Cloud works really well. for me, PlayStation Remote Play doesn't work nearly as well. So I can make Persona 5 Royal, Persona 3, and Persona 4 Golden again a mobile game with my phone and my backbone via Xbox Cloud, whatever it's called. So that's what gets me excited, is that it'll be like having a Vita, but it's my phone again. So yeah, if they were to come to Switch, I would prefer that to playing it on my backbone via Game Pass, but we'll see.
Fair.
Because yeah, before that press release came out, I was like, wow, this is massive. But now knowing that it's also going to come to PlayStation, again, there is still the question of, is it going to be same day on both? I'm not sure about that. But yeah, that was I was very shocked by that one. How about you though? Are you excited about this?
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, I think this is a huge get for Xbox, knowing the additional like that Sony's not out of the picture, because that like the way that it kind of came out was like, holy fuck, did Atlas just dump Sony?
Right.
Which like I foresee this will come to, if they're coming to both, this will come to Switch. At least the
I hope so.
PS3 port of Persona 5 will come to Switch, and that'll be fine. But yeah, I think this is great for them. I think this is great for gamers in general who actually get to play this for the first time that maybe weren't part of the Sony ecosphere. I think this is this is fantastic for them. Moving on, Kojima confirmed he's bringing a game to Xbox with their cloud technology, but we didn't actually see that game. So is it coming in 12 months, or was this an outlier that they just wanted to say it?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because I thought about this Sunday afternoon and then I completely forgot about it until right now when you asked. Yeah, I think this must be an outlier, because how could they not show us a single thing and it's still be coming in 12 months?
Maybe Kojima has that draw, that pull that they could do, where it's like, hey, this game's coming in 6 months, and there you go. Like, that's all you need to know. It's coming in 6 months. You'll fucking buy it. It's Kojima. Moving on, they announced Starfield, and now I'm going to quote Patrick. This is Patrick's biggest takeaways. We're just going to skip Starfield.
Well,
we don't have the time to talk about it.
No, sir. I've already said most of what I wrote there.
No, we don't have time to talk about Starfield anymore. Let's move on.
Cayman, I'm going to come through the screen and slap you upside your head. I am shocked at how down you are on this game.
I'm not.
If you're not down on it, you've been lying this whole podcast.
I'm worried.
Okay, that's
about
fair.
this game.
It's okay to be worried. I'll hold you.
I want to point out, I don't appreciate the people going on and being like, oh, all these people, it's a space game. This is a No Man's Sky clone. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you people are the same ones that were fucking saying the same shit about Elden Ring being a Breath of the Wild clone. Shut the fuck up. This game is not No Man's Sky. Yeah. We get it. We don't need you clamoring on about it. However, there are a lot of things that worry me. I have a lot of trepidation about this game, and it's 100% because it's Bethesda.
Sure.
Bethesda, since Fallout 4, like, they haven't been firing on all cylinders. And Fallout 4, I know a lot of people loved it. I personally wasn't a big fan of it. Fallout 76 was a massive disaster.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're still trying to play it off like it wasn't is a joke. Like, just accept that it was a disaster and move on with your life. My issues here is that Todd Howard, especially from the interview with Ryan Clements, like his own words, he used the word bigger 8 times. 8 times in a not a very long interview. He used the word bigger. Okay. I'm worried that they bit off more than they can chew, and we're going to end up in another Fallout 76 issue. We're going to end up in another, we're promising you a lot of this. There was another line from that interview, and I'm going to paraphrase here. I don't know if I could pull it up quickly enough to read the exact quote.
Well, I'll jump in real quick while you pull it up to correct you and say it was a Ryan McCaffrey interview, not Ryan.
Who did I say?
Ryan Clements.
Oh, thank you for correcting me on that. So he's talking about the worlds Specifically, the fact that they announced that with Starfield, there's going to be over 1,000 planets that you can land on, and he starts to talk about this, and so here are a couple takeaways that I found. And he says, okay, here we go. Oh fuck, I'm stumbling through it. Okay,
Here,
this is yeah.
Did you find it?
Um,
I can talk if you need to keep looking.
please, if you
Okay.
don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all. So I was on this Twitter Spaces today after the extended showcase with like Paris Lilly was there and Khalif Adams was there and Aaron Simon was there, one of the people who hosted the extended showcase thing. And we were all talking and she basically was asking like, hey, what was your biggest takeaway? What are you most excited for, etc. And I was shocked at the amount of people that are already like they have these massive critiques and thoughts about Starfield, which like, sure, they showed us about 20 minutes of it, but that's all we've seen. Like we
Sure.
still don't like, there's still so many unknowns and so many people are just jumping to conclusions about what this game is going to be that like, and I understand why they're doing it because this is one of the most anticipated games for the gaming industry in several years, if not like one of the most anticipated of all time. So a lot of people have a lot of opinions about this game. I'm just shocked at how many people, like kind of what you alluded to, being like, "Oh, it's just No Man's Sky again." It's like, but you haven't even touched it yourself, and you've only seen what they've shown you. Like, I think I think a lot of the critiques of this game, people are critiquing it as if the game is out, and I just think it's unfair. But have you found what you're looking for?
I did. So this is Joe Screbbles at IGN, and I'll add in the quotes when it's Todd Howard. So this is Todd Howard has said that Starfield won't allow you to fly seamlessly from space to its 1,000 explorable planets, saying the feature is, quote, and this is a huge quote here, really just not that important to the player. Why the fuck would you say, why would this be a big talking point if this is not important to the player? I get that within context, he's saying things like, oh, the quest line is 20% bigger than Fallout 4. The worlds are so much bigger than Fallout 4. This is such a bigger experience than Fallout 4. But then you go on to say, quote, people have asked, can you fly the ship straight down to the planet? No. We decided early in the project that the on surface is one reality, and then when you're in space, it's another reality, which is also fine. But my thing is like, you go out, like that was a big talking point, was like, there are 1,000 explorable planets. And then Todd Howard in an interview later has to then like kind of come in and temper expectations and be like, okay, but it's really not that important. And if you're telling me it's not that important, then this gameplay mechanic is not important at all. And then its inclusion, you're now starting to feel about talking. That leaves me with huge questions.
To borrow a Caymanism, I take umbrage with your qualm, and I think it's because it's being taken a little bit out of context. The way I interpreted that, and maybe I'm wrong, was the question was, will you be able to fly seamlessly, essentially from the space, like in No Man's Sky, where you can just leave the planet and fly right into space? And the answer was no, because that's not important to the player. Like in our game, it's picking the planet you're going to, and then if you're in space, you're flying in space. But like essentially all he was saying was you're not going to be landing on planets and flying off of planets. Like it'll be more like Mass Effect, where if you're leaving a planet, you'll go to the ship, you'll leave the planet, and there'll be an animation, and then you're in space. And I think that's, but again, maybe I'm interpreting it wrong, but I don't see why that's a big deal. That
and maybe I'm misreading, but the quote to me kind of reads a little bit more into like the whole, like these 1,000 planets, because they do mention like some of the planets you'll visit are just barren. I'm like, oh boy. Well, the game is probably going to launch two ways. It'll launch as a 6, or it'll launch as a 9.5 to a 10. We won't know until we get it. And I feel like the average player, the person who plays Bethesda games, rightfully so, they should have the ability to be like, hold on a second, I'm worried.
Sure. I
It
think it's
because
totally fair to have
I
worries.
mean, between No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk 2077, this is another one of those games where it's like, this is a huge game. And
Yeah.
this could potentially be like the next, you know, this could be the next bar set for what these types of games look like.
Yeah.
And Bethesda has a very shaky track record the last decade. And we're kind of at a point now where it's like, shit or get off the pot, guys. If Starfield doesn't land and it doesn't make massive waves and it just kind of lands divisively, I'm worried that Bethesda is not going to be the same studio coming out of that. He did go on to say, like, and this is, I think, another big important thing too, that like we just don't have time to really dig too far into. But he does point out that Skyrim, or not Skyrim, but Elder Scrolls 6 is only in pre-production.
Yeah.
That game's not coming until 2030. Fallout 5 is coming after that. So I don't foresee us seeing that game until 2035.
Sure. Yeah, those are very far out, which we'll probably dive a little more into
And
that next week.
Yeah, I knew we don't have the time, and this is not the place for us to discuss it because we're talking about Starfield. But I think my thing is just I think it's okay for us to be worried about this. And the way that the internet is, it's a very shitty place to have an opinion about really anything. Because there's going to be people that are just going to come in. Because I've seen the opposite side. I've seen the people being like, yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of things that I'm worried about with this game. Like, and I know we've only seen a little bit of gameplay and they've kind of showed us some stuff. And there were some sketchy parts where it's like some of the character models just look a little soulless. And I mean, I mean, those dead fucking eyes are terrifying. But look, that aside, like there are people who are like you said, who are like, no, this looks so much like No Man's Sky. And I think that the more of the issue is like, are you over promising before you, like on what you can actually deliver at this point?
Sure.
So I think that's a very valid point. But I've seen the opposite side where people are being like, this is already a masterpiece. This will be the greatest game ever made.
Of
And
course.
it's like, okay, like we're jumping to polar opposites. We're going to two different extremes here.
Yeah.
We need to be reasonable. I think the most reasonable standpoint is to be excited, but also to just be a little bit more cautious and just be like, hey, when the game comes out, the game comes out. We'll know when it comes out. I'm going to say right now, like Xbox needs a massive win. This could be that win.
Yeah.
Or this could be one of those games where we get a Crackdown 3 situation.
I don't think it'll be a Crackdown 3
I don't
situation.
think it'll be either. But, you know what I mean. Like,
I know what you mean. Yeah,
Xbox
I definitely
needs something big.
Yeah, I think that it is much more likely that this is a success for Xbox than a failure. Because I definitely I agree. I think that it is okay, and I don't mean to come across as like you aren't allowed to be worried about this. I just think that a lot of the things that people are worried about, I think, are really unfair based on what we've seen so far. Fair. There was one thing, and this will be the last thing about Starfield, and then we'll burn through the rest of the show because I do want to touch on everything that we have. Is Pete Hines in an interview today was like Malik, I forget, Malik the Prince, I think is his name, was interviewing Pete on the extended showcase, and he basically was like, "What do you think if someone is like, this game is going to be too big?" Essentially, I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, "You have to remember that you get to play this game how you want to play this game. If 1,000 planets sounds like too much for you, guess what? You don't have to go to all of them. Like you can. That's the beauty of a Bethesda game is that we Bethesda, because I work on this game. I'm paraphrasing as Pete right now. We make it so that it is truly an adventure that you get to choose. Where if you want to just follow the story, follow the story. If you want to go base build or ship build or mine for iron, go do that. And so I think that's one of the nuggets that people are missing in this discourse so far is that while this game is huge, just because it's big doesn't mean you have to do everything. But it being big could end up, bigger isn't always better. So this is definitely this is a point we will be talking about for the next several months, I'm sure, as we see more of it. I do want to jump ahead to the Capcom showcase, and this is I'm just going to basically say what happened that excited me. Resident Evil Village DLC, which is cool. From the you're a new character. I won't say who because it's kind of a spoiler. But more excitingly, third person mode. So you will be able to play both the DLC and the full game in third person mode now, which I would like to replay that game in third person because I much prefer third person to first person. And then we got some more Resident Evil 4 gameplay, which I do want to bring in quickly. Skylar, friend of the show, I had asked our listeners what they were most excited for, and he said Resident Evil 4 and Street Fighter 6 with the two announcements that spoke to him the most. And then Resident Evil 7, 2, and 3 are getting next gen patches. Any quick thoughts on those announcements before we jump to the next quick story? Okay.
Resident Evil Reverse.
Oh yeah, that too. It was literally a part of a like a montage. It was like one frame of a montage that game is also coming.
Yeah,
really made me laugh. Yeah. I want to touch on a couple quick rumors because they are, I think, very important to the discussions we've been having. First rumor, this is from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg. The story in a nutshell, in a one sentence pitch, is the updated rumors are that God of War Ragnarok is coming in November. We'll see if that's the case. Do you believe this to be true, Cayman?
No.
Great. Final story. Apparently, Cayman, the rumor mill has also reported that we are getting a Nintendo Direct on June 29th.
That sounds more than plausible.
Yeah, my question was going to be, do you think that's going to happen?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we'll probably get gameplay for Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, next week, I want to talk about this a little more next week because we're going long. It is funny, though, that this Nintendo Direct was leaked by an employee of PlayStation, Alana Pierce. Apparently on a stream, she was like, yo, yeah, that's happening on the 29th. And then VGC reported it and was like, we've also heard this. So now that she said it, we're going to say it too.
You know what? Good for you, Alana.
Yeah, which really, really made me laugh. But yeah, I hope that does happen because I'd love if they were to announce Persona there. But yeah, we'll jump into that a little more next week on next week's show. But so that what that means, Cayman, is that we've come to the end of our show. I am reminded that Overwatch 2 got a date, October 4th. I don't know that we had gotten a date because I put this in the little date section.
Hold on.
At one point, go ahead.
Wait, was it Overwatch 2 or was it Overwatch 1.5?
Well,
they got a release.
Brap.
Nee, I made the jokey.
There. Yeah, I started to put like the dates that we got announced, and I was like, no, this is a waste of my time. But I did remind myself that I didn't actually talk about Overwatch 2 in the show. So yeah, look, folks, let us know what you've been most excited about based on all of those announcements. And I skipped a lot. So if what we talked about doesn't necessarily speak to you, maybe go online, Google it, and see if there's anything we didn't talk about.
Put it in the comments. Excited about. Put it in the comments. Let us know.
Give us a little comment, y'all. Maybe tweet at us at SpotGamesPod. Maybe DM us on Instagram at SpotlightGamesPod, or on
maybe
TikTok
go to TikTok or that Discord channel that's coming up soon.
Oh yeah, that is.
Did I just leaked that live on air?
Whoa, came in with a leak.
Whoa, I think it just leaked something live on air.
You better
for the
plug
first time.
that leak. Yeah, next week I'm going to, between now and next week, I will throw on socials that I've started a Discord server. I just haven't put any work into it yet. So once I have the time to do that, I will put that out there so that we can. If you guys want to actually talk about video games, we can do that on Discord. So if that's something that excites you, keep your eyes open. Cayman, we've been jabbering long enough.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say thank you for coming on this ride with me. Capital C, coming on this ride with me. Tell the folks at home anything you want to tell them. Free reign before we say goodbye.
You can find me at Kid Cayman.
Ooh.
You can find Patrick at Patrick Schwag.
Look at you.
You can find Spotlight Games at Spot Games Pod on Twitter.
Well, we said that.
You can find Save Trash Cinema at Save Trash Cinema.
Boom.
You can find Kylie Jenner at whatever her handle is.
Oh,
I
no.
threw it a quick one. Threw it a curveball,
no.
baby. I'm
All right. I'm shutting it down, folks. What an energy we had today, Cayman.
I feel like you hate me now. I feel like you hate me.